If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/C-suite. netsuite.com/C-suite.
Welcome to the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the homie Kevin.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on out there? Hopefully you guys have all had a pretty decent beginning of your week, but we are not alone tonight as we have another friend with us.
We have the homie Joe with us. Joseph, you've been a super dope person to get to know over the past, especially really over the past year. Really, when I got to know you, and then I realized that you're a super nerd, Joe. Welcome to the podcast, brother. It's about time.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. I'm glad to be here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We had to have you here for this one, which is a really special episode. We're covering the original 1984 Secret Wars arc.
We knew eventually that we had to talk about the big guns, and I learned through Q that you were a huge diehard fan of this book, and I knew that, okay, we definitely wanted your perspective on this as well. And plus, I never really got to know you that well, so I'm anxious to actually, kind of meet you officially through the podcast here, you know?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, too.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so now, homies, one thing there's a couple of things, actually, about Joe that some of the other homies who have been guests on don't quite have going for them. For one thing, Joe, you are a really avid comic reader.
Yes.
Yeah. You love, especially your Marvel. You really love your Marvel comics, and we're just talking about your street level stuff, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Make mine Marvel all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sure.
And so, who are some of your favorites again?
Daredevil and Magneto right out the gate. That's my top two. Every time, and like you mentioned, and like we were just discussing before it came on, I like a lot of the street gritty stuff. Back when in the 90s, I always said, man, Daredevil would be an amazing show on HBO, R-rated, so they could do it right. And you see what they've done. It's not HBO, but Netflix, and they've done it the right way as a result of being able to be gritty with it and dark.
Oh yeah.
Punisher too.
Oh yeah. I should have known that you were maybe a fan of the show. Me and Kevin are huge fans of that Daredevil show.
I mean, but you've heard those episodes too, so you probably heard us raving, just like fanboying all over the show. Yeah,
that's right. I'm not just a guest homie. I'm also a patron.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Man,
this is gonna be fun.
Yes, it is. After the podcast, I have to tell the story about how I asked Elodie Young for a number.
Yeah.
True story. But no, that for me is super cool, Joe, because I don't want to go too much off on Daredevil because poor Matt didn't even make it to the cut for tonight's episode. But one cool thing about Daredevil, though, that I really appreciated that the show did was they brought in, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Joe Quesada was a really big part of the show. He was if not one of the showrunners, then one of the writers or producers. He had a pretty big impact, and I think that really played a big part in that show's success.
As he should be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right then. So, Joe, we were just joking about this before the episode started, about how we were super excited to have you on for this episode because Secret Wars. When it came out, me and Kevin really weren't in a position to read the book and to really enjoy it for what it was. But you, on the other hand, you were at that prime market for it.
Because I'm old.
Yeah, you're seasoned. You're experienced.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So reading this, growing up as a kid, when you first did you read it from issue 1 or did you start off maybe partway through it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I read it from issue 1. Like we were just saying, I was probably 10 when this came out. or 9.5. And as I was just telling you guys, I read comics, but it was one of those, we're at the grocery store, hey mom, let me grab Spider-Man or things like that. And then started venturing into the one comic book store here in town. And when I saw the cover here, and you see all these heroes on this one cover, it's like, wait a minute, this is a game changer. Even as a 10-year-old, I knew that. And that was one of the things that turned me, as I was telling you guys, from a kind of a casual reader into a collector. I told my mom, whatever I got to do, if I got to cut the grass, sweep the house, whatever, to get the, dollar or whatever it costs to get all these issues, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
That's dope. I think for me it was Spawn, actually. It's the one that I saw. I was going to like a flea market with my family one weekend, and I saw this dope ass cover. I was like, oh, who is this guy? And I didn't know who it was. Thankfully, my parents didn't know who it was, so I was able to get a couple issues, and then that kind of started my collecting, and then it grew from there.
Slip that one right by him.
I was about to say, yeah. That's how a lot of your fandom started as a kid.
Explains a lot for things of now. But actually, Joe, one other thing really quick that I forgot to mention. So that's one thing that's really special about you in comparison to the other homies we've had on the podcast, that you are a super comic book avid fan and reader. Mm-hmm. The other thing, though, is that you're also a fellow podcaster.
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Suplex and Microphones, man. Caleb was the first one to really introduce me to that one, the mutual homie Caleb, who's been on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, this is really good, because you were just interviewing like a lot of the high quality talent that's in this region, and it was really cool getting to know a lot of these guys, because my experience with a lot of them was really just maybe in locker rooms or in passing, maybe a few times in the ring, but that's about it. But really getting to hear kind of how they started, man, really just kind of tugs at my heartstrings. Because how'd you get started with that?
My podcast partner, Nate Pritchard, shout out to him, because he is the brains behind everything. Anything technical, all the computer stuff. I'm the guy that walks around, smiles, and shakes hands. He's the guy that downloads and edits. So he's the one doing the real work. We were going to independent shows and really just kind of caught fire. And we said, we want to do more. We want to do more. We want people to know more about these guys.
Okay,
they're
awesome.
people too. And so we said, well, let's come up with some sort of format. And I was like, nothing against your podcast, but I said, I don't want to do audio. I want to do video.
Yeah.
Let's separate ourselves a little bit by doing video, and it'll be more real, like a talk show. So that's kind of how I was pitching it to Nate. And so people always ask us about the name, and I came up with, I think, 5 or 6 different names. The first one I read to Nate was Suplex and Microphones. He goes, that's it. I was like, well, you haven't heard the rest. He's like, no, that's it. And Nate's 6'3", 270. So I said, okay, fine. So Suplex and Microphones it is.
Yep. All right.
And
when you know, you know.
If anyone's not, and I don't want to plug too much because I want to talk about Secret Wars, but if anyone has not heard our program, it's a little bit different. We do talk about the way people broke into the business and who trained them, things like that. But then we get into fun stuff. Tell us, if you could pick a superpower, what would it be?
Okay.
If you were in a street fight and you could pick 2 independent wrestlers to have your back, who would they be?
Okay.
Things like that.
Like some fun actual get to know questions.
Yeah. If your face was on a box of cereal, what cereal would you choose? So it's a little bit lighthearted.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a deeper turn. I remember the episode of Mr. Sleazy started talking about he was planning to commit suicide prior to breaking in the business, and the business saved his life, gave him purpose.
Wow. He's so good in the ring.
So he turned left on us on the lighthearted stuff, but it made for a really, really strong episode. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
that's impressive. I mean, that's super dope, man. Yeah, that show is awesome, guys. Suplex and Microphones. We're gonna plug it again, by the way, so be prepared. But no, I always thought the correlation between pro wrestling and comic books were really strong.
Oh yeah, it's just funny to observe that for sure. Yeah, most of the wrestling guys I've met, because Joe, as you probably know, I haven't really been in the wrestling scene too much. I'm friends with Q, and that's how I've met so many of you guys, just through going to shows and watching and whatnot. Right. But 9 times out of 10, I feel like I've been in part of comic book conversations with these fellows, if they weren't already talking about wrestling with each other, and that's really where all the connection comes in for me. Yeah.
I'll say this, and then we can get on to some Secret Wars. But it really does seem to be a more viable thing with, like, I've noticed with like more of the wrestlers from like my group and on down. Is that we're all really super nerds. I remember I was in a locker room one time, and then like a wrestler from who was a little bit older than us. Like we were all talking about something so nerdy and geeky, and then he chimes in and goes, "Man, what is up with all you new youngins? You new green is always so into this nerd shit." And it was just funny to think about because it's true. That's kind of one thing that we all have in common. You know, it's just really cool that kind of correlation there. But
learning that was a shock for me.
Oh yeah,
I learned about you, Anthony Henry, all these guys that had their favorites for comics and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
These guys are like me, you know. So.
Realistically, and you guys correct me or blaspheme me if I'm mistaken here, but I feel like wrestling is also a great real life application to feel like a hero sometimes, you know, where it's like you get to do and reenact the same shit you read and see them do, right?
I mean, you get to do things that really do seem super abnormal,
right?
I mean, you're dressed up a lot of times in colorful outfits. You know, there's these loud personas. There's a lot of really strong similarities that I'd love.
Sometimes they're too strong.
I see what you did there.
Oh shit!
Your persona was more like a Hulk-esque being, and that was super fun. Yeah. All right,
man.
All right.
But yeah, so 1984, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. Joe, I gotta know. So you got the comic books. Did the toys have any influence on you, or were you able to get any of the toys as a kid?
I had all of them.
Really?
Holy shit!
I had all the figures. I didn't have necessarily all the basics.
The vehicles.
Yeah,
I had some of those.
So I was about to say I did a lot of research on this because I knew learning about this book. The history of the book is blatant. It's very open about its forthcoming, with the idea that okay, this is made for Mattel and Marvel to work together to create a bunch of toys. I looked up the pictures of these action figures too to really get in there and really know it. And a lot of them were just like bi-colored, you know, whereas like Iron Man was yellow and red, no complications. Captain America was red, white, and blue, and that's fuck all, you know. There were action figures and like they tried to make vehicles and all kinds of cool shit, but you had the figures.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I had a few of the vehicles in one of the bases or something, but I had every figure. Even the ones that came out that had nothing to do with the comic, like Daredevil.
Yeah,
it was a Daredevil
nice.
Secret Wars figure, and it's like, this guy's not on Battle World, but
there was one for the Sharker too, if I remember correctly, and a couple of other villains that weren't in the book.
Yeah, and then there was a UK set that came out, and the same thing happened there.
That's right. Was Iceman in that set?
Iceman, I believe, was in that set, and then like Hobgoblin was in either the US or the UK one, and Hobgoblin's not in this either. So it was really interesting. Mattel presents Marvel Superhero Secret Wars.
Yes.
And apparently that they didn't make that last phone call about, okay, who's in the book again?
Right.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny because Mattel and Marvel history both kind of claim that was an unsuccessful venture. But I don't know. It seems like it kind of was in conversation here. Yeah.
It was one of those things where, like, at least from my perspective, Joe, you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong here, but
please.
It seems like Mattel really wanted that kind of. They wanted the same thing that like what was the company called? Kenner had with like with DC, because they were killing it with the toys at that time. Mostly thanks to like the Superman movies. I think like maybe the Superman sequel had just come out, and so DC heroes at the time were super popular, and Kenner had that deal with DC to make those toys, and those toys had like more functions, like functions at the knees and like joint functions, and they could do special things. And then Mattel, of course, most famously known for like the He-Man stuff, really wanted that same kind of success. But you know, with Marvel, you know, they were like, well, okay, we can do this, but Mattel said, we don't feel like your heroes at that time are as popular as these DC heroes, so it would be cool if we could do like a corresponding story to go with it. Hey, our research shows that young boys like the word secret and war.
That.
So let's kind of make a story around it here. How strange that the story ended up kind of surpassing the toys, or at least so it seems.
Oh yeah, I would fully agree with that. You know.
Yeah, they actually cut back on the second run of figures because their first run didn't sell as well.
Okay.
But the comic did better than the figures in a way, even though the comic was supposed to boost the figures.
Which is ironic, there's a type of poetry about that, I don't know that I gotta say I'm grateful for it because Marvel kind of accidentally turned this into a pivotal stepping stone for them and their writing structure and their company overall. So for them, it was like, yeah, let's venture into toys. That makes sense. Let's make money with this. Oh, wait a minute. We found a gold vein here. Let's keep digging, Yeah.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a gold vein, but I guess this is also one of those things where in retrospect, it seems that Marvel looks back and they're like, people still really want these toys, and now obviously they're hard to find, and they're worth a whole lot more than what they were back then because they're hard to find, and they're just rare. But
that begs the question: do you still have any?
I wish.
Ah, damn it!
That's why we brought you here, Joe. No,
I check eBay every now and then just to see
Okay.
the ones that are still in the package, see what they're going for, and like you said, it's astronomical.
Do you know any of the recent prices, just for an example?
I can't remember off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I mainly search for the same, like my favorite ones, like Magneto.
Oh, okay.
Who's actually one of the more common ones, so he's actually lower priced than some of the others.
Okay.
Not
Interesting.
cheap, but
Right.
a little lower than some of the others.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I imagine Doctor Doom and Iron Man would be more valuable because they had to be edited in the comic in their appearance. So this would be technically, you could sell this as like, oh, unique armored Iron Man and unique armored Doctor Doom, because that was like some other side notes. It's like, oh, their armor, it doesn't look like, it doesn't, we don't improve it. It needs to look like this type thing.
Yeah, they wanted something modern that looked like it had some electronical type things.
Yeah,
like
more technical.
They thought it
Yeah.
looked too much like a couple of knights with sword and shield type knights.
Okay.
So
because all the heroes, at least in the first edition, came with shields, right? And then all the villains came with like also like square shields, but the heroes came with like circle ones.
that's absolutely right. The heroes had circle shields and the villains had squares.
That's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such an interesting concept. It was fun though, like looking up at Mattel and seeing what their process was, because like just seeing how everything went down with them, because it was like their plant was so much bigger than like Kerner's, who did the DC superhero toys. And so because Mattel's was so much bigger, their industry was like, it was cheaper for them to just have like one or two molds. And so that's why all the heroes were like kind of shaped the same, and why we didn't get like a Hulk or a Thing or like any female heroes, because we needed that base outline. I just thought that was super fucking interesting. Yeah, so I really dug that though.
And it's cheaper too.
Cheaper,
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can go ahead and get into the story here now, guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so the meat of this story really begins when this disc-like or circular-like object appears, and superheroes all around are drawn to it. And depending on which edition you have, you can even read some of the issues from their corresponding stories, seeing them being drawn to this thing. And then even people as smart as Reed Richards, by the time he figures it out, it's too late.
Right.
You're drawn into it, and then you're teleported. Now, this was the first for a lot of things here. One, it was like the first super mega event that Marvel Comics has ever had.
Yep.
This is the OG. And secondly, this was also the time that we see a lot of other firsts, one of which we're introduced to Battle World, where all the heroes and villains are teleported to. They're placed here, but then we also hear this booming voice who they dub the Beyonder. What we're I want to kind of talk about like everybody's first thoughts about the Beyonder here, like when we first kind of heard of this character. Joe, what were your kind of thoughts on the Beyonder, like as just the entity as a whole in this arc?
I mean, it seemed very godlike. The heroes and villains watch him like wipe out a galaxy. He's just basically showing off, like, look, this is what I can do. Now you believe me? Let's talk about why you're here. So he definitely was way more powerful than anybody that was there watching him put on the performance.
Yeah, that's definitely true, man. My first interpretation, I'm not gonna lie, Because I had only brisked Secret Wars a little bit prior to the episode here. I read it through, don't get me wrong. This was like my first time thoroughly going through the entire thing and like preparing for it with a podcast mentality. First time I ever read them back in the day, though, I had the idea that I imagined the Beyonder comedically, in a light of like, this is just a fascinated fanboy.
That's it.
Yeah. Like he's a god who's just like, oh man, I got all my superheroes. I'm going to make them play together.
Yeah.
I just imagine like this god sitting in his own throne in his own just insurmountable space, controlling all these tiny figures that are essentially our heroes as we know them. But then his godmother comes in. Honey, we gotta go to dinner. Put your figures down. Come on, we gotta go eat. Mom, I'm playing with my stuff. Yeah.
He was Cosmic Space Cartman. Like
to a degree, I can say, meh. I cannot do a Cartman voice. Never mind. I won't even try.
But no, that was for me. It was a little unfair and a little jarring because actually I read Secret Wars 2 first, and then I read Secret Wars 1. I just kind of read what I could get my hands on as a kid.
Yeah,
and so I was like, who is this man? And like and all white, just kind of living the life here. Like he has no idea what's going. Is he strong? Is he? Oh, he is.
Is he a god? Oh, what do you know?
Yeah, why is everybody having this adverse reaction to him? What's happening here? And so that was super interesting to kind of read it from there, and then later on, like maybe I would say a year or two later, is when I read Secret Wars 1 for the first time, and I was like, oh, this is the same person. Holy shit! And so just kind of seeing him there, and there's some other issues like, his whole mentality, man, is that he really is like the richest spoiled kid in the world because he can have whatever he wants. Like there was one, I read this as a teenager. I don't remember, Joe, maybe you do, but he had planned a coordinated attack where the Hulk attacks him every time at this time of day. And the hero was like, holy shit, the Hulk just came out of fucking nowhere and just pummeled this guy. He's like, oh no, it's fine. I forgot about this, yeah. And then he just kind of whisked him away. It was just a weird thing that he does. So, yeah, to be honest, one of those crazy cosmic characters. I can only think of like maybe one that's above him. And in my opinion, that'd be like the one above all. I can't think of any other ones who would be above him as far as power. Unless you got something in mind that I don't know about.
No, I don't. The Secret Wars 2 is corny.
Yeah.
The fact that you read that and then went back to read Secret Wars 1, I don't know what you were doing that day, but...
Yeah.
Oh, shit. But so, we spoke about how this is the first big mega event. Mm-hmm. The first time that we see pretty much so many heroes and villains in one place at one time and with one singular focus.
First ever crossover.
First ever one for Marvel. This was big.
What's the first good one? Do y'all count Contest of Champions or no?
Only the video game on my phone.
Yeah, that's better than the book.
I forgot about the mobile game. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Did you read that one, Joe?
Contest of Champions?
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh wow. Ooh. That rough?
Yeah, it's weird. And nothing came of it, whereas Secret Wars, there's still things happening as a result of what happened in Secret Wars. Contest of Champions was like this offshoot, and then they got done. They're like, you know what? This sucked. Forget this happened, guys. Forget this happened.
Yeah.
Go back to what you're doing.
But it's funny because we speak about how as far as like what's popular now, and superheroes are close to the top of the list, if not at the very top of what's popular in media.
Yeah.
Before 2012, I think there was an argument that could be made that Darkseid was more well known than Thanos, but after 2012, that changed instantly. And then, of course, Thanos became the most well known superhero villain of all time.
Yeah.
But now you think about it, like people look at Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War with such reverence. I hope that we can kind of get that same reverence and respect with Secret Wars, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, to the Russos or Kevin Feige or whatever.
You read my mind. Yeah, I mean, if Marvel revisits the idea of that project, or even has the balls to touch and make that thing a legitimate project, Russos, all in.
And we're gonna talk about this later. But we're gonna always sling around some ideas and theories, whether we want to or not, about how this could be done, how this can be accomplished. But no, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, put that podcast and thinking cap on.
Plop.
You need the Beyonder to come in and make this happen, because otherwise, I don't know. This is way bigger than Infinity War Endgame.
Oh, it is
Way bigger.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
It is, and not just because it's the first, but because of what we're dealing with here as a whole. Like, for example, just kind of moving on here with the story, as as the Beyonder is kind of introducing himself, and we see all the heroes and villains and whatnot. One of the first things that happens is Galactus flies up to challenge the Beyonder. And for like a kind of a win-win situation for Galactus, either A, I beat this clown and I can go home, or B, I can confront him, and because maybe he does have the power to give me what I want, which is to get rid of this just everlasting hunger. So either way, Galactus is thinking this is a win for me, and Dr. Doom's like, me too,
Riding those curtails.
But for me, as soon as I saw Galactus get smacked down, it's kind of when I knew that this is no one to be trifled with. What was everyone's thoughts on seeing this happen to Galactus and kind of seeing the situation here play out?
I was more impressed with how greedy Doom was the whole 12 issues, actually, and starting right here. Basically, he's trying to creep and get some information, and I'm gonna learn something. There's secrets, there's power. I gotta find out.
Oh yeah. Real quick, just off the cuff here, guys, because homies, I'm gonna definitely take careful footnotes of like the writing style and the dialogue and how it's exchanged between these characters. And the usage of said characters. Doom had a special attention throughout this book, inarguably so. Some could even further argue the point that this was almost, a 4 or 5 character centered story, Doom being one of those big pivotal characters. But I'm not going to dare talk about that in high detail, but Doom nonetheless, yeah, he's there. I loved some of the dialogue exchanged here, especially... all these characters are so like monologue heavy, Doom is just like very explicative towards himself, like, oh yes, I will follow behind Galactus, no one will know I'm going, and I will be able to have the power of the Beyonder for myself. Like, who the fuck talks like that? I loved it for its goofiness, but at the same time, experiencing Doom just like I'm gonna be the little buzzard flying behind Galactus, let's hope everything, oh fuck, he got shot down, what? Yeah.
On that same note, if you decide to play a drinking game, every time it says "I am Doom,"
yes,
you won't make it past issue 5. Just letting y'all know.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I was about to say that same thing, Joe, because like it's pretty common amongst villains, at that time frame as a whole.
Yeah.
But with Doom in particular, it's like, yeah, you're right. Every time he says "I am Doom," or every time he just references himself, he loves his fucking name.
He does.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the guy's got a cool name.
He does.
He does.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And also, I'll go ahead and put this out there. Doom is my favorite character in this story.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What about Magneto? I just want to point out that he arrived with the heroes.
He did. He did.
And we need to talk about why do we believe that is? Because we've already talked about how Beyonder organized his playthings, these heroes and villains, and he said, okay, you guys are on this station, you're on this station, here's a planet I'm kind of creating for you, and now you're all here together, here's a bunch of alien random shit technology, good luck. But Magneto was teamed up with the heroes. Why?
The Beyonder, what his biggest motivation was to learn about humans' desire.
Okay.
And it was based on their desires to which side they're on. Magneto's desires are pure. He wants mutants to rise up. He wants to protect mutants. So mass murdering a lot of people for his purpose, he still has that pure intent. Yeah. So that's why he's with them.
So arguably it's pure versus impure motives, like pure versus selfish motives, we could even say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I could make an argument and say,
you're gonna play advocate.
Yeah, I could play devil's advocate and say, well, what about Galactus? I mean, he feeds with I wouldn't even say ill intent, but more like, well, sorry guys, if it's gonna be you or me, then I'm gonna get mine. I mean, so it could be argued because Galactus, for a couple of reasons, stands out. Obviously, one, because with him being on any team, it's automatically lopsided. As far as power goes. So thankfully, Galactus kind of went off on his own and had his own kind of game plan. But also, just looking at like the motives here, my thought also about Magneto was maybe it was the fact that, what you said, Joe. Like he does have pure intentions because he wants what's best for his people and mutant kind. But it was also kind of interesting because, as we see what quickly happens, is that there's kind of a break between the mutants and the other Avengers and Fantastic Four.
Right, like we almost get the four armies. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the Marvel Studios and you got Fox.
God damn, yeah, that's true. That's true. And then a merger happened, and they absolved everybody.
And Hulk was over there on Legendary by himself.
Well, if back to what you're saying about Galactus, I think the difference between Magneto and Galactus, if we're talking about that, is Magneto is looking out for him. Galactus is looking out for himself. Very true. Even proven in which episode is it? I think it's episode 1. The Avengers are like, we're not hanging out with Magneto. And they're ready to fight the X-Men. He goes, you know what? Nobody's spilling mutant blood on my behalf. I'm out.
Yeah, and no, he dipped. He found a fortress like 200 miles away.
What would Galactus do? Try me.
Right? True. Galactus would look at you and then look away, and then you try to do something, and then Galactus power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin, you mentioned something earlier that I also kind of want to talk about a little bit, and that is about like the heavy monologuing. And because that is a thing, and like this may have been shortly before I started the podcast, or before we started the podcast. One of the things I was looking up though.
Okay.
Because I was really curious as to see like kind of like a lot of the history behind modern comics.
Yeah.
And one thing I realized was that the reason for that, for a lot of the heavy monologuing, is because these comics were hand drawn. And so because these comics were hand drawn, what you could really do and put in a comic was different than what you can do today. And because of that, like you had to use a lot of your dialogue space in comparison to what you do today.
Okay, so technical standpoint, I imagine as such, but that's interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of heavy monologue.
Yeah, and to present day comic fans who visit the past and who weren't exposed to it primarily, it comes off as goofy. It comes off as overly wordy, even, flawed, if you will. But at the time, that wasn't flawed, or it might have been called goofy, but no one accepted it as such. I might be speaking just from my experience here, so forgive me if I am. But it's noticeable, and so I wonder how many fans are going to revisit this and call it, "Oh, that's dope," or "That's historical, monumental," or "Oh, that's weird. That's problematic. That causes friction with what I call good," or I just don't call that good, something like that.
I think one of the other things they do as well, and y'all know that if you've read this one time, every time they're in a monologue, what are they explaining? What their powers are, what they can do. That's for new readers. So if you have a book like this that has 21 heroes, and this guy was reading Spider-Man only, he doesn't know what the Fantastic Four can do.
Right.
So when Human
So
Torch
it's
is explaining his powers, it's like, oh, okay, now I got what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of helping everybody catch up, get to the same level and experience.
It's playing the part of exposition. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I will joke with you guys real quick. I have never been so fucking tired of the Hulk saying, "Oh, this is such a heavy challenge, but not for me, obviously, because I'm the Hulk." Like, oh, fuck off. Yeah. I mean, it's adorable, but yeah.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I also think that the Hulk was almost written purposely, at least in this sense, to kind of come off as like
Yeah,
almost
rigid.
exhausted. Just because he was. I mean, like, I guess just kind of dovetail. Like every hero at least gets their one shining moment. Hulk has one of my favorite moments when he holds up the mountain, saving all the heroes in the process.
We need to talk about that.
Oh,
yeah. I mean that was one of the biggest points of the book. You know, that made cover art.
Yeah.
Issue 4.
Yep.
My biggest problem with Endgame.
He held up a couple of there was a couple of boulders and debris.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
He struggled with that little bit.
Yes.
The issue 4, the cover says 150 billion tons, right? So, and let's visit that.
Yeah.
Reed Richards starts antagonizing him to make him angry, so he can keep it up while he's trying to get everybody's gadgets together to blast their way out of there.
Yeah.
So
Web shooters and Hawkeye arrows.
In Endgame, you got Rocket Raccoon, one of the most annoying characters of all, and they're trying to save him and War Machine, right? They could have easily used this.
Oh yeah.
And let Hulk, because did the Hulk have a moment in Endgame?
No.
No.
His moment was losing his arm in the snap.
Who cares?
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I really wish Endgame would have used something similar to that in that situation. I think it would have played perfectly. And
I'm with you on that.
Would have given him at least a feature in the 3-hour movie.
At least giving us some of the Hulk rather than Mark Ruffalo Hulk.
Right.
Yeah.
Abercrombie and Finch Hulk.
Oh gosh.
I called him Zoloft Hulk because he was like this the whole time. Like he was on a steady dose of Zoloft.
Giving tacos away, just like still riding the medicine. Yep.
Everything's good. We're fine. We're fine.
No, you're absolutely right though, man. Because that would have been a great moment for him. You kind of wonder if they at least toyed with the idea because they put the situation there for a reason.
I mean, the Russos are obviously aware of the story. I'm wondering if someone shot it down or if they deemed it worthy to bring up. Who knows? I wish they did because that's a powerful point you've made, man. Yeah.
I mean, because I guess like the biggest kind of thing that bothers me about it all is, like you said, Joe, like they could have put it in the movie and it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, not in like as far as affecting anything else, it would have given Hulk his moment though.
Exactly.
It would have been better received than the femme fatale, like weird forced scene that we all had to sit through.
Right.
Yeah.
Girl power.
Yeah. There's ways you do certain things, and there's ways that stuff like that is modern day monologuing.
If we're gonna talk about that, when I discussed this girl power scene that's in Endgame, and the way it was forced, I don't have a problem with the scene. I got a problem with the way it was forced. And like we were just saying, they had a girl power thing in Infinity War.
They did,
and it was subtle and still made its point. I already know what I'm talking about. Okoye, Scarlet Witch, and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
like right in the Battle of
like
Wakanda.
Said,
Hell yeah.
There's a way to do things that gets the point across. It's not just jamming it down your eyes. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean we've said the exact same thing.
We did
in so many times, Yeah.
It was just because it's almost like this. Like even if this book from the 80s didn't try to force anything in that type of direction. I think it's really what I'm getting at is that with that scene in Endgame, like I was damn near in tears at certain points.
Yeah.
And I guess just the fact that like once we went there, it kind of took me out of the moment because it wasn't even so much of like I want them to have their time. I do. It was more of a thing of how could this feasibly happen during this monumentous occasion?
It's like you're too distracted thinking of the logistics behind the scene rather than actually experiencing and living in it. And it's like, okay, no, this is too fucked up for me. And then when it finally ended, we're back in it. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm comfortable back in the story.
Yeah,
but you're spot on.
Yeah. Almost as ridiculous as Captain Marvel just tanking a punch from Thanos.
All right.
Okay.
That reminds me. So we have the bowl of all sorts in front of us that you see here, right? Do you remember? Have you heard the rules on the all sorts?
No.
No. So anytime we how would you describe it, Q? That we talk trash, that we shit on,
unnecessarily shit on a character or property or movie,
which we have previously shat on exceedingly. If we continue to do so, or if we do so again without without a purpose, essentially, without a point to drive home, then we have to eat an all sort. And that is a punishment because it is a nasty ass candy. It is so bad.
But you said unnecessarily.
Yeah. No, exactly. But we have
I hate Captain Marvel movie too, guys. Y'all know that.
Amen. Hey, that rules on us. So you do what you gotta do.
So
I feel no guilt.
There you
I'm
go.
sorry.
Exactly.
Just speaking of Captain Marvel really quick, I think that this is also a really cool lesson for like a lot of the homies out there. And we talked about this briefly actually in the Captain Marvel review we did, which is Cara Danvers she's not the second Captain Marvel. Mm-mm. She ain't even the first female Captain Marvel.
Mm-mm. No,
it's Monica Rambeau.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
That's my
She's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame that they made her a little kid who was a Cara Danvers fangirl, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, no, I'm sorry. I was about to get off on something. Nope. Mm-mm. No. I'm already losing. I've had to have 2, and Q's had to have 1 at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, you're gonna eat one.
Sometimes it's worth it.
Sometimes the toll is worth it. Yeah, okay.
It's worth the price of admission. Sometimes you know what you're doing. But no. So let's talk about some other really big highlight moments from this book that kind of stands out to us, because there's a couple moments in this book that are my absolutely favorite, and then I kind of want to, of course, because I want the homies to read this themselves.
Yeah.
And then I want to kind of talk about the ending and kind of what we think of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So throughout this book, there's several really big moments that happen in here. And please, guys, feel free to insert yours, because I want to talk about all these, excellent moments that stand out. But so we talked about the fall of Galactus, and for me, especially as a kid, because all I knew of Galactus was he was the world eater. Mm-hmm. You see Galactus, and well, sorry about your planet.
You can cancel Christmas.
Yeah. But to see him fall, for me, that was a huge thing, because I had never seen that before. Not like that. So that was one. We talked about the Hulk holding up the mountain. For me, that was another one. I love that.
That was a big time. Yeah.
And Joe, I love how you also mentioned the fact that Reed Richards did, him being the smart man he is, antagonizing the Hulk and then stringing all that shit together. Iron Man's with some of his tech and Hawkeye's arrow and with the web shooters and blasting a hole through there. And it is kind of funny though, just thinking about how Thor and others are like, "Hey guys, what's going on? You about to suffocate down there?" I got you back. But what are some of you guys' other favorite moments that takes place between some of the bigger moments?
You pointing at me.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that Wolvie comes at Cap 3 separate times
Yes,
in
he
this,
does.
in this 12-issue series.
That
And
was
it
the
took me
last
a
one,
while.
yes.
Took me a while to realize that he came at it. He even threw the Nazis and Jews thing at him near
Yeah.
the end of the book. And I'm just like, dude, he was there. What are you talking about?
That's true.
But yeah, he said when they were trying to choose a leader, he said he's the least of us. Called Cap the least of us. And then Thor said, "Hey, I'm a god. I'll follow this guy into the gates of hell." Wolverine shut up after that. But he called him Flag Man. You don't know what you're talking about, Flag Man, stuff like that. I just thought it was interesting because who wouldn't want to see them two fight it out?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But their argument was on my list, especially like the last big fight in the Resolution, because it came down to an argument of Wolverine kind of defending Magneto. You've never fought for mutants, Cap. Like you said that you fight for Americans or you fight for human race, but you don't fight for mutants.
Yeah.
I kind of love that argument because Cap and Wolverine both spoke their truths in that moment.
No, they did. That's actually one of my favorite moments in this graphic novel. Overall, just encompassing whenever the mutants kind of like started to stem away and do their own thing, and it became what was known as the Cap faction, or Captain America's little junction that he had, the Avengers, and it's essentially, and we had the mutants over here. And there was a lot of strange controversy and subplots in the mutant stuff that almost pulls you away from the story, the overarching actual Secret Wars story, but it was still really cool to see it witnessed. For instance, one moment I remember here was Storm kind of having a hissy fit with Xavier, like, hey, look, I thought you wanted me to lead the team here. It seems like you're kind of taking over the mantle. And Xavier, in so many words, was like, bitch, please, I'll erase your memories to make you follow me, you know? And it's like, wait, what the fuck? That's weird for Xavier.
He got some working legs, and he was just
he was back at it. He's like, oh fuck yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm the leader.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, especially like in the Chris Claremont run, there's a lot of moments where Professor X is just on his bullshit, where he really gets like a bug up his ass and kind of acts like that, like goddamn. Yeah. But no, yeah, that Cap moment was the Captain Wolvie moment was a phenomenal moment.
Yeah.
I think that maybe was it was some of the most resonating stuff in the book because it can be applied to a lot of different things.
That's true.
Yeah, another one of my favorite moments. Obviously, we have to talk about this, and I don't know if Jim Shooter and Mattel knew the results of this, but we have to talk about the black suit.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about Spider-Man getting his new threads, his new digs. Joe, let me ask you, especially in particular, when you read this originally, did you think anything of this? Did you think that something bigger was going to come of this suit? Like, what were your thoughts when you first read of the suit?
Obviously, I don't think anybody knew it would become what it eventually became. But I love the suit when I saw it. Of course, you kind of got teased with that with Spider-Woman because that's where it came into his mindset.
Right, yeah.
So
the second Spider-Woman, yeah.
It wasn't exactly the first time you saw that or a form of that. But yeah, when he put it on, I loved it. I was one of the few. At least that's what they thought. I'm sure y'all have read into that a little bit. Marvel was like, we got to get out of this. We got to get it. Because back then, there wasn't emails, there wasn't leaks. These guys would sit around. These guys, Marvel and DC, would sit around and talk about it. And when word got out, letters started flowing in saying, you can't do this. That's not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so they were ready to go apologize and do all this. And they went to some of the major comic stores, like in LA and stuff. And they were sold out of all the books that had the Black Spider-Man. They're like, wait a minute. Hit the pause button. We're making money. Don't worry about the black suit. Worry about the green.
Yeah. I think this was like the first major costume change that Spidey's ever had, though.
Oh no, it was actually. If you look at the prices of collectible comic books, especially the Secret Wars series, the whole series itself is super valuable. But issue number 8, where they had the cover of Black Suit Spider-Man just posing there wearing what we didn't know at the time was a symbiote, what they never even proclaimed was a symbiote. That was life-changing. That was one of the insurmountable things that Marvel just barely tapped into during this story. I don't, and like you said, dude, I'm pretty sure none of them foresaw like the cool-ass creative shit they're gonna come up with for this, Yeah.
I guess, how could you?
No.
But it is crazy just to think that, like, from toys came this.
Exactly right. That's like the strange barbaric thought. Like, wait, what the fuck? Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about. I want to talk about Owen Reese, Molecule Man.
Yeah.
So I had only read just very little about Molecule Man, other than Secret Wars. Like, other than this, like, I just know, like, I read like some of his stuff with Fantastic Four, like how he essentially was a loser, and then he was a lab assistant, fucked up, got some superpowers, that's how it happens sometimes.
Sometimes that's yeah.
And one of the first things he did was like he fucking went at his boss because his boss was like, I don't even know you, but you're fired. This boss. I mean, and so like Owen Reese was always a down on his luck kind of guy, and then to become a guy who gets these kind of powers, that kind of plays with your psyche. And then on top of that, Dr. Doom being the bug in his ear, I thought was perfect.
Yeah. That was really cool because they do a good job of leading up to it. Like I remember like the villain base whenever we first discovered their little cool nifty home base that the Beyonder gave to them. Dr. Doom was like, "Here, Molecule Man, let me walk you through the halls," and the wrecking crew is just like, "Why does he get special treatment?" Yeah.
Yeah, he saved the King Suite for him. Look, Doom was making moves this whole time, not just with rebuilding Ultron and kissing Molecule Man's butt. He also set up and created two new powers to help them, Volcana and Titania, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that how y'all would say Titania?
I'll say
Titan?
Titania. Yeah.
Titania,
like Titan.
But she was apparently stronger than the Wrecking Crew.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So he was making moves. In every book, you saw him do something towards his game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the moves that I was most impressed by whenever I read this in my big detailed one here, he got Ultron to be his servant. Mm-hmm. He made Ultron just a very OP lackey, you know? Yep. Holy fuck, dude.
I mean, he was able to jumpstart just a dead Ultron cell. Mm-hmm. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, also with Dr. Doom, like he from the very beginning, he tried to talk to the other villains, like, hey, we shouldn't play into the Beyonder's hand here. Like, we need to find another way. We maybe even reluctantly have to work with these heroes. And they're like, nah, fuck that. And he was like, I'm gonna drop the building on your head. And
yep.
I mean, so yeah, like you said, he's been making moves this entire time, though. I also wanted to talk about with Molecule Man really quick. He had a little fling go on here, and for because I had forgotten about the fling, until I reread it. I had forgotten about his fling with it was Titania.
No, it was Volcana.
It was Volcana?
Yeah.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
yeah. I had forgotten about that. I got it written down wrong. One thing. Because I was like, there's no way. Like, she's playing them too. She's got to be playing them. She's not playing them. She really digs this guy. I feel like this is Owen Reese could be like an anthem for shy guys all across the globe because his come up game was strong.
Yeah.
But no, I did want to talk about like his power set here though, because he does have the power to manipulate molecules, which is just as OP as it sounds. Because of him, they're able to get Galactus' attention at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because of him, I mean, he's the one that essentially is able to drop that fucking mountain.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the context of that, oh, dude, did you read the page where they threw a mountain on the team? The context of that is absurd. Like, wait, what the fuck? You know? But yeah, Molecule Man, that makes more sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's showing out for her the whole time too.
Oh yeah.
It's just
let me impress her.
Yes.
Here's a big ass rock. Yeah.
And that's kind of something that's really cool that happens throughout this book is that everybody kind of has their moments.
Yeah. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Villains and heroes alike. Like for example, Spider-Man gets a couple. Obviously the black suit, but even before that, he shuts down the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this moment here?
He made him look bad.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
He did. I was mad impressed at Spidey being able to take down the team and just like, okay, I still gotta go.
He also took out Titania.
That he did
by himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she's throwing around 40-ton boulders and steel beams, and he just drops her. And in fact, he even pointed out, you're talking tough until somebody's stronger than you again.
Right.
And he throws her out the window.
Yep.
That's the truth, though. But particularly his scene with the X-Men, because this comic book characters can do whatever the writers have them do,
right?
And because like on paper you would think, well, Nightcrawler should on paper be able to at least give him some problems, not in the strength department, but in the agility and in the speed and in the obviously the teleportation department. At least something,
right?
But even Kurt's not able to do anything. They're all made to look like fools, and I love the conclusion of that. Though he goes to Reed Richards like, Reed, I forgot what the hell I was thinking.
Yep. Because of course to catch it all is Xavier, who's just like, really, guys, really? Okay, fuck that, Yeah.
Well, he slapped Xavier on his way in. That was the first guy he took out because I think he knew, or maybe it was just convenient. If it wouldn't have been for that, Xavier could have shut him down from jump.
Yeah.
Which would have been rough on him. But no. So let's also really quick. I'm going to talk about the Lizard Man too, because he was another one of the quiet ones that kind of stood out to me. Because you have this, like, you look at the power set of the villains. You know, you have Absorbing Man. I mean, first of all, the entire Wrecking Crew, they go toe to toe with Thor on a regular basis. Like, they're powerful. You have Titanium Volcano, who are uber powerful from the jump. Doctor Doom, obviously, Ultron, Galactus, like all these super powered people. And then you have Doc Ock. Even though he's not that super powerful, he has a brilliant mind.
He does, yeah.
But then
it's amazing how many villains have doctorates.
You do all that studying and all that preparation, and then they pay you like shit, and they don't give you the respect you deserve.
And you have too many student loans out from when you were trying to go to med school. Yes. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, what's the man to do? What's the doctor to do? But no, Lizard Man, he stood out to me too, just because with this entire arc here, or with his mini arc, I mean, he's just a lizard person. Like, his whole thing is, I'm not trying to. I don't really care whether or not either of my allies or my enemies, what happens to them. But if you treat me right, I'll treat you right. And that's kind of his entire thing going on here. And so it just became interesting here that his thing at the end was, we could just get Dr. Kirk Connors back. Like, there is no lizard. We get Dr. Kirk Connors coming back in and kind of realigning himself with the good guys, at least for this moment. So I just thought that was kind of a cool thing, how everything he went through just kind of led him to getting zapped, but then coming back as just good old Kirk. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
It was interesting how many things happened to our main cast that definitely like altered them on a dramatic, we never saw that coming scale. Like he getting turned to human temporarily, if only temporarily. The Thing becoming human again temporarily, or I meant what I said. Becoming human, and then Xavier walking. There are a lot of miraculous things happening around them. Yeah, I don't know, and the story is just kind of impressive to me for that. Just a random thought I had.
Yeah. Let's talk about Zaji a little bit and how Colossus is a cheating son of a bitch.
He was right.
Well, you have to make sure they're not pressing charges back at home for child molestation with Kitty Pryde.
Yes.
This may have been Marvel's way to kind of let's work around.
Yeah.
She's got gray hair.
Right.
There's no question here.
Yeah, this is like the opposite of like 16-year-old Kitty Pryde.
Right.
Back at home. Yeah. I always thought that was super weird how they went that way in the beginning. Like, it's okay now that they're both consenting adults. But yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so we get the side character Zaji, and her whole thing is like she's a super healer basically.
Yep. I gotta make a comment on her dialogue. I'm doing air quotations because it's just the squiggles. It's squiggles. That's all it is. It's just like, okay, scratch the paper and pin together real quick. See what happens. Yep, that's good. I like it. Produce it.
This was like, it was like the superhero alien version of a better ending Pocahontas story, almost, except Zaji still dies. Because you have this foreigner.
Wait, who's John Smith?
Yeah.
What?
I would say Human Torch. You have, because you have this foreigner in the terms of Zaji, and she's a good person. She and her people are good people. Now, in the terms of the movie Pocahontas, John Smith he may be a pretty good guy, but all the other people that look like John Smith aren't necessarily so.
Right. And this is according to the Disney movie, right? Yes. Okay, not the actual story.
We're talking about Disney here.
Okay,
there's no part of the actual Pocahontas story that has any kind of
no. Besides names.
Yeah. But no, I just thought it was interesting because it didn't feel a little bit like kind of like the foreigners kind of vacationing with the foreigners, taking advantage of them and skedaddling on. It just kind of gave off that vibe a little bit.
If it happens on Battle World, it's not cheating. What happens on Battle World stays on Battle World.
I know, right?
Listen, if we're going to talk about this, let's talk about how big of a pimp Magneto is.
Dude, Magneto, man.
It was like boss. Issue 2 or 3. He's got the Wasp at the house.
Yeah. And he's just like, hey, we can't leave. The storm's around us. Let's make some moves. Yeah, no, you're right. Magneto
he had
was
his own
the pimp.
agenda.
Yeah.
He had his own agenda too.
And Wasp, she was like, all right, bruh. Okay.
Yeah. She said that she was playing Magneto. I don't buy it.
No.
She got a little worried.
No. Magneto played her. Yeah. Wasp did not. I don't know. Wasp, she got kidnapped, but then it was consensual kidnapped, which means she was just staying the night essentially at Magneto's fortress.
Maybe it was Stockholm.
Debatable so, actually. I'll take you up on that.
It was raining out. She couldn't go back. He's trying to take care of her.
But baby, it's storming outside.
Oh shit! But no, you're right.
Yep. And then she dies.
But Zsaji, again,
Right, yeah.
She saved everybody.
Yeah. I was just saying that she's just had a rough go of it. This story for interest. She had a very interesting story. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, she did. So let's go ahead and talk about kind of like the meat of this again. We can bring it back around to Galactus. So for so much of this story, Galactus is just posted up. That's it.
Yeah.
He's posted up. And
Just kind of standing around mountains in a nearby village where the heroes are kind of forced to station to. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know what he's doing for a while, and then it's revealed that, we think he's getting ready to eat. And at this point, there's a couple things going on. Doom going up to his world ship, for one thing, and taking advantage of that. Doom is being Doom. Doom gets cast out, back down to Earth, gets fucked up. But then we get a continuation of this here, and then we get a moment here with Galactus and Reed Richards, a very candid conversation, and Reed kind of recounts it. What you guys think of this moment we got between these two?
Galactus has respect for Reed, and that is unreal. I mean, he doesn't put them as equals, but he doesn't put Reed much beneath him, and that's pretty crazy.
It really is. This is actually one of the quiet moments I really loved in the whole story, because there was I don't know if there was anything prior to this, maybe in the Fantastic Four readings, where Galactus gave an iota of respect towards Reed Richards, but I feel like this is one of the moments where they at least had, like you labeled it a second ago, that candid conversation, which really began a lot of the I guess you could call it the emotional tie, or I guess just the connection really between these two characters and the stories that were going to be told between them later, you know? I mean, for one example that's coming to my mind, Earth X. Have you read that one before, Joseph?
I don't recall reading that one. I thought I had, but at the moment I don't recall.
It's fascinating. It's non-canonical, but it's super dope nonetheless. It actually kind of reevaluates like what Galactus was and how he actually was related to Reed Richards in one way or another, and it's super crazy. We don't have the time to go into it right now. That's worthy for a whole nother episode or two.
That's another podcast.
That they basically made the Marvel universe and explained like the theological side to it all in that book. They gave it a huge backstory. But I digress. The point is that this moment in Secret Wars was pivotal for a lot of potential storytelling that they've taken advantage of between these two characters. And I just liked it. It was a subtle nod, you know? Yeah. A small domino being knocked over to, eventually knock over much larger ones.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how, leaving the conversation, Reed Richards didn't know really what to take from it. He just pretty much said that my family's fine. I'm so grateful for that. My wife hasn't had the baby yet, so I still have time. But he said that he is basically a harbinger of death, and I am one for life. I don't know what he means. I don't know what he wants. And then the more he thinks about it, the more that we all kind of realize that, well, maybe we should let Galactus do what Galactus does. He's a force of nature just as much as he is a personage. And at this point, I was like, shit's getting real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, other than that, Galactus, at that point, we realized that, oh no, he's not. They decided to fight back still. And then they realized, well, no. We need to destroy this device so he can't eat, he can't absorb, but regardless, he ends up beginning to absorb just his own homeworld ship. He's like, fuck, I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna take this energy.
I was about to say, like, he called in his ship here, and yeah, that it's like your rations. You know, it's like you don't want to eat the rations. You want to eat an actual fresh, hot meal. But yeah.
Yeah, it was this and one other moment where the X-Men to me really shone though. I really like this fight scene they had with the fucking drone. How you had Nightcrawler, teleport on top of it, rip a panel off, and you have a Magneto and Cyclops trying to blast it down. It explodes. It was all really good shit. Great shit.
It was redeeming for their encounter with Spider-Man earlier.
You have enough time. But essentially what we do get here though is leading up to the God King Doom stuff.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal in my opinion.
Yep.
It makes me giddy thinking about it because they tried to kind of recreate that same did you read the 2015 Secret Wars?
I haven't.
Okay. Slight spoiler alert for all the homies out there. God King Doom makes a return.
Yep.
And they try to recreate what made the original Secret Wars so special, but put their own kind of twist on it in the 2015 version. It's modern and it's good. It's not quite the same essence though. But when we have Doom floating like through this myriad of energy, trying to absorb it, what were your guys' initial thoughts on this? You think that he was going to be able to do it, or what do you think was going to happen with Doom or the Beyonder?
Oh man, going in, I didn't know. I mean, Doom's always got a plan, and he went on that ship to get information and got Claw and used Claw's sound absorption stuff and create this. Doom is like a master builder Lego guy because
yeah.
he rebuilds Ultron, right?
Yeah.
He builds a ability to absorb all this energy. What else did he do? He built something else.
He created Titania and Volcana.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like Lego master builder over here.
He and Reed Richards both were like the kings of utilizing their resources. Like, oh fuck, Hulk's got a mountain on top. Give me web shooters. Give me Hawkeye arrows. Doom over here. I have this team of idiots, and I want that power. What to do? Yeah. It was great.
Reed made a MacGyver move under the mountain.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yes, that shit was clutch.
Are we going to touch on the fact that this was James Rhodes in the Iron Man armor?
Yes.
We got to. Yeah. We have to, yeah.
Because, he tried to hit on Captain Marvel.
He
That was
did.
going nowhere. And she was like, I thought this guy was smoother than this.
Right. That was hilarious because, I'm glad you brought that up because we're talking about, all the, I want to touch on all the flirting, all the pimping going around. That was one moment that we did overlook. Yes. Oh, man. But I thought that it was cool though that it was Rhodey in the suit,
right?
And I mean, sure, he said some things like, "Yes, I'm Iron Man, and that's never going to change." And well, okay,
he gave himself a pep talk,
right?
He did, yeah.
But no, I thought it was really cool that we got Rhodey in the suit, especially because he felt that he had something to live up to. So yeah. I thought that was cool.
Sorry, I took us off the Doom thing, but
no, you're fine.
No, I mean, that we need to touch that thing too.
Yeah, because Rhodey was trying to touch that other thing.
Yeah, he was.
You're welcome for the easy setup.
I mean, like you
I alley-oop and you get the slam dunk. There you go. Yeah.
Set me up for the layup, and I'll make it happen.
There you go.
Anyways, so Doom is he succeeds, and especially as a kid, because I wasn't used to the more visual stuff as a kid in comics, but seeing Doom go for it for the Beyonder's power, and then seeing him literally get ripped apart, I was like, oh shit, I had never really seen anything quite like that in comics.
Yeah.
Not at that time.
No.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this isn't Spawn. Like, I could see this in my Spawn comic books. Why is this happening here? But no, seeing him get ripped apart, and I'm like, I don't know what he does here. But then he pulls it off, and he comes back, God King Doom. He's a giant if he wants to be. He has size manipulation now. He can do anything. Reality warping.
When I first saw it, I mean, because we've been reviewing the Watchmen TV series on HBO so religiously here recently, it made me think of Dr. Manhattan. It's like, fuck, you were ripped apart. You dead, bruh. You shot your shot. Good job. Oh, wait. Oh, you're back. Oh, dope. You know? And yeah, he's basically Dr. Doomhattan here of the, Secret Wars universe as we know it. It was super cool.
Dr. Doomhattan.
If they do the movie, fuck, man, that's something they have to get right. But I'm worried because we haven't even got basic Doom right at this point. But that's another worry. That's another.
I do want to talk about this at the end. After we finish this main arc. I
thought so.
We are not going to leave that alone. So we get God King Doom. Okay. What did you guys think of this version of Doom? This incarnation?
I mean, I just said it in so many words. Yeah. It was dope. I liked it.
He's pretty. He's pretty again.
Yeah. He made himself pretty and hangs a picture of his mom on the wall and stuff like that. But when he brings the heroes back, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I put y'all through a lot of crap. Anything you want? Nope. All right, well, y'all get on out of here. Oh, and Kang, you killed me, but I'm gonna bring you back and send you home." He's just snapping fingers and making stuff happen. It's just and he monologue style. All you guys are beneath me. All that conquering stuff's beneath me. I am everywhere and everything. So
right. He's attained everything he's ever wanted.
It's more than and then again motivation. He's telling Captain America, "I got to get my mom." You know.
Yeah.
Mephisto, and that's always his top dog motivation right there. So that's all he's worried about.
Yeah. I thought that was great, and I really have to give another shout out to Jim Shooter, because one thing that I really enjoyed about his writing was that it seemed like he had such a care and understanding for all of these characters, which is why all of them at least got one moment to shine. Hell, even Hawkeye, like everybody got their moment. But that understanding of characters leads to stuff like this, where you have to think. It's like Jim Shooter. He didn't say, "What do I need Dr. Doom to do here?" He said, "What would Dr. Doom do if he were given this power?" He'd probably say something like this: "Doom isn't like an all evil person. Given this much power, he'd probably try to set a few things right, and obviously he tried to get his mom back." So I thought that was really clever writing on his part.
Yeah. That's as we've talked about so many times before on the podcast here, homies, that's always one of the biggest challenges whenever it comes to such a large cast and such an insurmountable story here. One of the compliments to, the largest Marvel movies we've seen here recently, Infinity War and Endgame, that the biggest challenge with such an important cast is actually using them all well in that good balance. And yeah, dude, you're totally right. That's one of my notes that I came into this episode with, that Jim Shooter did a great job of utilizing his characters and at least give them all at least one cool thing to do. Something that I guess kids will want to buy their toy for, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a difficult balancing act. He pulled it off. So
yeah.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah. And so, we get this final resolution here where our heroes, they're all gathered up, and they're like, "Okay, we gotta talk about this. Are we really gonna let him be a god?" Like, well, let's take a vote on it. And the vote, everyone takes a vote, and Colossus is still in his feelings.
He was the last one, wasn't he?
Yep.
And then it was like, as soon as it was like, all right, yeah, let's do it, and they all agreed to it, here comes Doom with the obliteration. Just blows them all up, essentially. Now, also have to mention, in the background, there's been this weird energy jumping from hero to hero. It goes to like the Hulk, to like Spider-Woman, and then to Claw, and it's like, you're reading this, you're like, what is this? And then we realize eventually what this really is the Beyonder.
Right.
He is still very much out there. I mean, if you think about it, the Beyonder, he's basically like the results of a universe collapsing and becoming personified. He is that. He is beyond human comprehension.
I mean, one of the observations was that this universe also lacked stars, and that they were all basically. I don't remember the wording that was used anymore. Forgive me, but it was something along the lines of like the stars. There's not so many here. Something must have happened to them. Something must have been absorbing them, you know. And I'd imagine those were part of those universes colliding in order for the Beyonder to become an entity and all powerful. You know, that's a lot of power being absorbed and created into one thing. Yeah, dude.
What do you guys think of us never actually seeing the Beyonder physically in this book? Like, was that something that ever did it bother you any? Do you think enhance it or take away or just?
I think if you put him in basic character form, it takes away.
I agree with that.
I can see that.
Like, I just answered your question a little too simply. I just said, "Nah, man, it didn't bother me." But no, like I agree with what you're saying, Joseph. That's yeah. I don't have a problem not seeing him because, as you just perfectly put it, it would humanize him to a point where a god doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, once again, like as a kid, because I read Secret Wars 2 first, I was a little spoiled when I read Secret Wars 1.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
you got to see a god. Ooh.
It was Secret Wars 2 was so fucking weird. I don't want to go off on it, but it was so fucking weird. He got beat up by the Thing in a wrestling match. Like, it was weird. Like, there's a lot of weird shit that goes down. Anyways, though, I just said that just to say that, you know, you see him in Secret Wars 2, whereas here you don't, and I do think that mystery does add to it. Yeah.
And he's corny in Secret Wars 2.
He is.
I mean, he wants to look like David Hasselhoff or something. I think
Yeah.
was one of the bases for what he looked like. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it just took away from him.
Yeah,
Okay.
It did. He was a cornball.
He went in for that surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the God King Doom resolution, essentially that he's afraid to go to sleep even because of what his subconscious might do. He's afraid of his own power. It's a mortal man wielding the power of a god.
Yeah. I mean, is he wrong though? You know? Like, on that level, like, what could your power do even while you're not trying to control it, you know? It's like having an overpowered, like, triple platinum credit card, the ultimate black card or something, and all of a sudden it's like, fuck, man.
I don't need that.
I don't need this. This is too much, man. I don't need this credit limit.
I get my statement. So it appears, Mr. Ficklin, you've purchased a stealth bomber jet. We don't know how you got one of those. But
Amazon.
Yeah. I got it prime. They flew it here, and then I gave them a ride home.
Exactly.
Anyway, but no, I get your point though.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
No, that was it, man. Yeah. Good summarize. Yeah.
But no, even with someone who's as smart as Doom couldn't handle it all, and that was kind of like the gist of it. And when the moment was right, and that like kind of unbridled power was mixed in with his emotions, because the good guys, the Avengers and the X-Men, Fantastic Four, they came back to fight, and obviously things got a little hairy because Claw was even being overran with his rebooted Ultron he created. And when the moment was right, the essence of the Beyonder leaped from Claw and onto Doom, and I absolutely love what they did here, because we don't get any kind of solidified resolution. What we really see is what we know as the Beyonder, and Claw and Doom are just gone. And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened?
He was, and then he wasn't, and smoke. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How'd you guys feel about the resolution we got here?
When I was 10 reading this, it was way over my head. Like, wait a second. I got to read it again. Let me see what's going on here. You know, so as a 10-year-old, it was a little much. But now it's like, I mean, you try and process what could they have done. I mean, this is a sensible resolution, I guess.
It is. And there, I can't help but to imagine, and forgive me if I'm, so human in this moment between all three of us here.
How dare you?
But there's a moment where I almost felt a little lackluster. Like I was hoping for this huge climactic tussle. These mortals and these almost gods versus this guaranteed god, Dr. Doom Hatton, as I'd call him earlier. Or what you keep calling him something cooler.
God King Doom.
God King Doom, thank you. But at the same time, the question you asked was right on the money, dude. It's like, what could they have done? What else could have happened? And the Beyonder just kind of like tapping back in and saying, okay. Almost as if like he allowed Doom to have his power, So it's like, okay, that was fun to watch. Thanks, it's mine again. Good luck. And then just
exactly what happened.
Exactly, and it worked. It really does work for the story, but at the same time, I would understand that there was a reader who read it and was just like, "Wait, what?" and flips through a couple pages to look and see if any big battle happens or something else that we're used to. And it's like, "Oh, it doesn't. Oh, huh." I mean, was I the only one who had like that little child in him say, "But where's my fight?" Yeah.
I mean, no, I think I agree with that. I can see that. I mean, because like both of you've already stated, I don't know really how you end something like that. Something so grand with a character so powerful. Really, where do you go? Like, and I don't want to say it's the easiest right out, but it is the most sensible. Just they're all going to go away.
Yeah, I think in this case it was the most sensible, and I guess consequently it also just happened to be an easy ride out. I would say sensibility first, though. It just happened to be easy also, which is rare, but sometimes kind of cool.
You gotta wonder though if Jim Shooter starts writing issue 12 and he says, "Crap."
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me think this over one more time.
He goes back to the storyboard. He's just like looking at the whole thing. Well,
Right.
son of a dick.
Okay, now where was Galactus? Maybe I can bring Galactus back into this. I don't know.
Can we throw another mountain?
Right.
Reed Richards and Galactus is going to create an invention that's going to sap the energy. No, that can't.
No.
I already sent Molecule Man back to Denver.
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah. It's like, damn it, I built this game of chess. How do we end it?
Right.
Yeah.
You end it by knocking all the pieces off the board and calling it a day.
Exactly. The Beyonder coming through and being like, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Took away the queen.
But I do think that also kind of helps it become more solidified as one of the greatest Marvel comic arcs of all time. Because essentially, like, the villain in this became Dr. Doom, but the original antagonist is the Beyonder, who kind of puts them all here.
Right.
This all-powerful, seemingly all-knowing type of being.
This untouchable being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just kind of puts everybody in their place. So it's like, yeah, I had no problem really with that as an ending. I guess especially because even as a kid I was cheating because once again I knew this motherfucker comes back. And then of course we kind of get like the farewells of the goodbyes and Colossus, man, Zaji is dead at this point.
See, there was no winners or losers, but Colossus was the loser. Yeah.
I can see it now. Like Colossus, he goes home and Kid is like, "Oh, Peter, I'm so glad to see you. Are you okay?" He's like, "Man, I'm fine. Okay, can I breathe? Can
Yeah.
I just lost a loved one."
Oh yeah, and about your dragon.
Yeah,
No, the
true.
dragon
He
got a
comes
friend
back.
and came back.
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Lockheed found a friend.
Yeah. Lockheed, he really went off at the very beginning of the book. Found someone to just to fuck for 12 issues.
Yep.
And then it's like, "Oh, it's time to go home. Let's go."
That's about right.
Lockheed was the biggest pimp in the book.
He was the winner.
We're gonna die anyway.
Oh, we also can't forget Thor and Enchantress. She's always shooting her shot
Yeah.
at Thor.
Yeah.
And she does again here too.
She tried it with a lot of people.
Oh yeah, with
Yeah,
Doom,
yeah.
Doom, Cap.
Yeah.
She threw a little bit at Cap one time. Yeah.
Hey, I mean,
Yep.
pussy is power. So what we.
Go to bed. I thought we'd go through one episode without it happening, but no.
But no, Ben Grimm decides to stay behind, and She-Hulk takes his place in the Fantastic Four.
And that was interesting. Why do you guys think the decision was made that way? And yeah, in the case of Ben Grimm, I'm asking, but also in the case of Jim Shooter writing it that way.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that in the Fantastic Four comics that they were a little bit ahead. And so there was a while where She-Hulk was there, but Thing inexplicably wasn't. And then they kind of urged the readers, go back and read Secret Wars and it'll explain.
Yeah, I think there were several issues that came out and people were like, how did this happen? And it was a result of Secret Wars coming out a week or two later or whatever.
Okay. Interesting. Huh.
But as far as like, I mean, yeah, it's.
I was about to say either way. Unfortunately, now I kind of ask the question. Well, wait, why did any of that need to go down? I guess just to create intrigue. That works for me because like, oh wait, now we go from Big Rock Orange to Big Green Woman. You know.
I like She-Hulk better personally, but
oh no, same here.
Just as a character generally.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? I picked up a couple of the Thing issues that happened. And they were actually pretty decent.
Are they? I haven't read.
They were pretty decent, just showing what he's doing while he's. It's just.
Okay.
I don't know why, because I'm not a Thing fan at all. But I picked up a couple, and I thought, oh, this is actually kind of cooler than usual for him.
Just like riding the universe, seeing what's out there. Okay.
So really quick, Joe. I'm sure you heard about this whole debacle going on. What did you think about the Thing knocking out Hulk?
Oh fuck that.
When was this?
This was very. We made a post about it on the Facebook page maybe a month or two ago, something like that.
It was something close to that, yeah. Like a month, maybe a little more.
Yeah, it was in one of the recent issues. But what happened was that Hulk was technically, I guess, being mind controlled, and I think that he was trying to hold back, but still. What happened was the knockout blow was Thing hits the Hulk so hard that his arm shatters in the process of knocking out the Hulk, and Marvel and some other places tried to spin it as this, it's the definitive winner of Hulk versus the Thing, but nobody bought it.
No,
not in the sense that nobody bought the issue, but nobody bought that story.
Like the fans were just like, no, you got the lore wrong, Marvel.
He knocked out Mark Ruffalo. He didn't knock out the Hulk.
There you go. There you
Like there's no way. I don't.
He knocked out Abercrombie Hulk.
Yeah. Zoloft Hulk.
Yes. Even Mr. Fix-It Hulk, I don't think would go down that easily.
No.
Yeah. Good old Joe Fix-It.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I was about to doing that. Yeah, your reaction was exactly ours. Where it's like, I'm sorry, wait, what? Yeah.
Who said that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But no. So I guess before we wrap up here with the story, really quick. So, what was everybody's kind of? We kind of talked about these a little bit throughout the podcast here, but if we just talk about like really quick our favorite moments, favorite characters, and least favorite moments or characters.
I was a big fan of Doctor Doom the whole time, dude. I really loved like it wasn't really so much exposure of him, but it was such a great flex that they did with him. It was such a great usage of the character. And then it was also fun seeing God King Doom, which was super interesting. I was also a big Cap fan the entire time, kind of seeing like him take like this more often than not calming demeanor for the team. He was like, okay, no, I got an idea for leadership for us. We can do this. Guys, we're going to do blank, 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 and we're going to do that. I really enjoyed Cap, and I liked, even in the end, he had some really cool moments where he kind of shone brighter than others, especially, obviously, with the Cap versus Wolverine Cold War there. But those were two big names for me. And obviously, you got to be a fan of Reed Richards in this one, too. Those were some of mine, just to name a few off the cuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I did not like Doc Ock. He seemed like he was always whining. He wanted to be in control, but he knew he wasn't strong enough. I mean, it was just kind of this
I
back
agree
and
with
forth.
that.
He's trying to flex on people, and as soon as they, Dr. Doom's like, "What?" He's like, "My bad. What you need?" So on that side, I'd say Doc Ock was one of my least favorites, and on the hero side, Wolverine. It was always, let's just go right at him. Let's go right at him. And Cap's like, I'm making a plan, dude. Mm-hmm. Sit down. Yeah. Take a chill pill. Let me get this thing organized. You don't know what you're talking about. So he just always come up. But I want to tell y'all, as far as battles, issue 8 had my favorite battle.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite, the first page of issue 12.
Yeah.
To see the broken shield.
I mean, nothing to fear. Yeah, dude.
That right there was just incredible imagery for me.
Mm-hmm. I gotta agree with you though, dude. I mean, if you've heard the show before, so you know I'm a Wolverine fan. I was not a big Wolverine fan in this issue. His dialogue was really goofy, which I kind of chuckled at more than anything. But nah, dude, he was just kind of like the team dick. Yeah. Which it wasn't cool. It wasn't badass. It was just like, okay, shut the fuck up and let us do this.
I'll say this though for him, he did defend Cyclops in issue 1. And it was that the difference between team and family. I'd say X-Men's a family, because they fight, but they're always together. They got that mutant blood. They feel, And who was it that tries to post up? It was Hawkeye trying to post up on Cyclops.
Yeah, that's right.
And Wolverine's like, hey, he may be a jerk, but he's our jerk. It was like the big brother syndrome coming out. Like you're not gonna do that.
That deep blood comrade.
So that was one of the good moments for him. Like you're not gonna mess with this guy.
Yeah.
I can mess with him, but you're not gonna.
Yeah.
I think low key one of my favorite moments actually comes from the Human Torch, and it's when we get like this super powered Ultron, and Human Torch man gives it his fucking all, and he's able to put him down.
Supernova.
He goes supernova, and he's able to burn out Ultron. I thought that was dope.
Cap would have been toast.
Oh yeah,
there would have been no oxygen there.
Yeah.
He melted the whole building. Where they were standing.
Yeah.
I mean, this super soldier serum, it could.
It creates oxygen just real quick.
Right.
Yeah. we don't know the atmosphere of this planet entirely.
Yeah. We're not doing good.
That's true. I still thought that was an excellent moment. As far as like one of my least favorite characters or moments, man, it's hard to say like one that we haven't already kind of harped on some. I would say this kind of like a mixed bag, in which I thought it was awesome, and then I also didn't really care for it that much. Was the Spider-Man taking down the X-Men? I thought it was a great showing for Spider-Man, but the entire X-Men, none of them could do anything. So, and it's like I get it. Storm was on the inside, so she couldn't zap him. Not that she would. You don't want to zap your friend like that, but
maybe a light zap, just like a little bit more than a taser.
Yeah, it's like you see the X-Men and everything that they can do. Wolverine didn't hear them or smell them, so it's like it was really the perfect storm for Spider-Man to kind of go through and make them kind of look like buffoons. Which on one hand is fine if you're a really, really big Spider-Man fan. But on the other hand, if you're a really, really big X-Men fan, then you kind of like, well, what the fuck? So.
Yeah, it can be downheartening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I had mixed feelings about that. It was just as awesome as it was damning for me.
But yeah.
So as a whole, guys, what are kind of our closing thoughts here on the story?
I mean, I think it's just really well put together. Jim Shooter gave everybody some moments, like we've said. Let the leaders shine, and there was a lot of. I mean, there was some depth here and some interweaving of just relationships and motivations and things. It was just really cool.
I'm right there with you, man. I agree. There was a fun complexity here that they played with. Which I didn't expect going into this, looking for a detailed read, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what the outcome was. I enjoyed what the story gave me. There were some subplots which were interesting and fun. I feel like because I'm so used to present day writing and I've been exposed to a lot of moments when subplots were there to cleverly wrote back around and come full circle back with the main plot eventually, that I've been spoiled by that. But with what the story gave me overall and what happened and what the outcome was and how the subplots were eventually fuel cells essentially to help power other stories after Secret Wars, I really dug it. I really dug it for what it was. I dug the flaws, I dug all the strengths, and of course, I mean, it's easier to know and understand now on both those levels why this is such a historical and monumental story for Marvel's history, and what made them really just kind of like trampoline back up and say, oh wait, no, we got a lot of cool shit moving from here on out, and just kind of climb upwards from there on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of echoing what you guys said, this is kind of the Marvel event that kicks off everything else. And in a day and age where a lot of fans, myself included, a lot of times feels like there's too many big events in comic books, this takes me back to a time where they really did mean something. When a comic event really did mean something. Things weren't just retconned. They didn't use these to restart at issue number ones. They didn't do. They were done to really give the fans that big, awesome team up moment. The same way that like everybody felt seeing Avengers on screen for the first time. Like that's what they were going for here when we got this kind of big crossover, and it fucking succeeded. It worked. I really fucking dig this story. I think it's a great story. And with that being said, guys, really quick, how do we think that the MCU could possibly introduce this type of story and make it good?
I thought I'd be ready for that question, Joseph. Are you? Because I'm not.
Not really.
So, off the cuff, we're gonna have to do something about Iron Man.
We still have a War Machine.
We have War Machine. So basically,
it works.
The actual caricature inside the machine, yes. This time I would just want War Machine.
Yeah.
Take out the Iron Man suit and just make it the War Machine and make it honest.
We have a Captain Marvel.
Oh.
Joseph, you took the words and the thought right out of my brain, brother. You really did. Because I was about to say it if you wouldn't. It's like, nah, bruh. Nah. I'd rather just have the time lapse and get Monica.
Well, look, you don't have to have the exact same characters that are in
you
this
don't.
book.
Yeah.
No.
You just have to have some groups.
Exactly.
This has actually sort of been done in the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s.
Yep, that's true.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
With all the different Spider-Mans from, that was dope. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about they actually had Secret Wars.
In the Spider-Man cartoon?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a couple of it was at least 2 episodes. But they brought in a couple of Avengers. It was, you're talking about 21 in this. This was like 7
Right.
something. But it was the Beyonder and everything. But
Okay.
the Beyonder kind of collaborated with Madam Web to make it happen.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Okay, I do actually remember reading that. Yeah. I know.
Watching that, yeah.
Oh, no, I read it. Yeah, I read up on the history of it.
You
preparing
read
for
about
this.
okay.
Yeah. I do know that there were a couple animated shows that played with the Secret Wars. There was one that actually made a whole season called Secret Wars. I don't recall which. I'll have to revisit that later. But I know the Spider-Man version. I know what you're talking about too, though, where there was a version where Beyonder was really testing for which Spider-Man was the best Spider-Man in multiple universes.
Yeah, that was like a multiverse.
Right.
Type
Yeah, and that was clever. That was a very interesting tap.
I dug it.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Revisiting the idea of making this an MCU movie, I would need to see Doom in something else first. Obvious. Yeah.
I kind of feel that like this would be a great jumping point to introduce a lot of the characters that we don't currently have.
Okay.
Seeing that Battle World is being put together from different planets all across the universe and whatnot, they could really, if they wanted to, just spin that and because sometimes Marvel they do dumb their stuff down for the audience, but sometimes they also they don't think that we're so stupid, and they play straight with us. So like we don't have to get some kind of whole in-depth introduction to the X-Men. they know that their audience, for the most part, already has an idea of who these characters are.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, in other words, kind of use this to maybe introduce a good amount of the X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Because I'm totally down for that. Yeah.
I think that could be pretty cool. As far as like the villains go, I would love if they could bring back Ultron. You know, yes. I think that they have to spin it so that Galactus seems like the big threat until we realize that he's actually going up against the bigger threat, being the Beyonder. Just trying to think about it from like a movie aspect,
like a producer's chair.
Yeah, like how you have to spin this. You know, because you can't really tell a story like this, or at least in the trailer format. You know, because the Beyonder is unseen and you can't really show him, but Galactus you can show the fuck off with. So yeah, that's just me spitballing off the top of my head. There's some cool things, and I think it can be done.
I mean, I totally agree. It definitely can be done. I just see it happening a certain number of ways. You know, like I can almost imagine like we get. I'd rather not do it that way. Never mind. I was about to pitch the idea that we do a Fantastic Four movie where an idea of Galactus is introduced, not as the main villain. That couldn't work because where do you go from there? After you have Fantastic Four, the first movie, MCU style, you get the big baddie Galactus in there. What the fuck's gonna happen next?
Obviously, Mole Man, Kevin.
Oh gosh. All right, I'm done.
But all right, so if we're talking about Infinity War
Yeah.
and Endgame, 3 hours apiece, how many hours do you think it would take to do this justice?
You need 2 movies.
2 movies.
Just 2?
3 hours apiece. 3 hours apiece.
That I think that's all feasibly they would get. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
How many would you need to make it, you know, picture perfect? Yeah, you need like a Lord of the Rings style
trilogy.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? What's up?
I don't know. It would take a lot.
Yeah.
I just know 2 movies I don't think would be sufficient. Unless you cut out a lot of stuff here. And you could cut out some stuff and make it a decent story.
Yeah.
So one thing that the Avengers movies always had going for them is that they never had to use those to tell us about the characters. In this case, in the case of Secret Wars, they would have to do some of that.
Yeah.
That'd be like their... I mean, so, you know, Marvel executive, whoever you are, they're listening, you know, we have ideas. So
We do.
And we can sell them for a cool $5 million, you know, each.
Plus, one thing that this movie would benefit from that the comic book story, unfortunately, still had the responsibility to do for Marvel's sake, they had to make, like I talked about earlier, they had to make subplots which would help fuel other comic ideas after Secret War, so they can have like other write-off ideas and create their own like new stories. Essentially, this movie, the fictional one we're creating, that is, doesn't need to do that. Sure, to some degree, of course, but they don't need to do that to such regards here because we don't need another Avengers 2. You know,
cramming too much into one film.
Exactly, and then also have like an obvious agenda to try to really push us into the idea of the next saga, the next phase. You know, with this, they could just make it like our awesome trilogy idea and say, "Fuck yes, here's your Secret Wars, have fun with it." You know.
Yeah.
Still talking to you, Marvel exec.
That could. I mean, yeah. Obviously I'd love it. I'd watch it.
The Russos would love it. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all I have for this one. You guys have anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Closing thoughts?
Okay. Well, Joseph, dude, you've been awesome, my man. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, man. It's been dope talking about this. This has definitely been a book that's been on the charts for too long for us to talk about. Yeah. And homies, thank you guys for listening, obviously. Hopefully there's a lot of you guys who are familiar with the graphic novel, and I know there's going to be a population who isn't, but make time for it, you know? I know we say that for every fucking thing we read, but this one is a monumental point in Marvel's history. I mean, this is one of the most well-respected books out there by any writer, present or past. Definitely, you know, I can't recommend it enough.
A strong point to any story is how does it hold up? And there's plenty of stories that are fun to read in the moment, but even 5 years later, are they still that fun to read?
Or are they collecting dust on your shelf? Yeah.
Secret Wars, literally, guys, 35 years later, is still a really excellent read.
This is the 35th anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, this year.
This year.
We made the limit, guys. So if you're listening to this in 2020, that's your own damn fault.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But no, that really does go to say a lot about a story, how well it holds up like this. And Joseph, just like Kevin said, man, thank you for agreeing to be on. This has been a lot of fun, man. I hope you enjoyed as much as we have.
Well, definitely. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
It's been a ton of fun, my friend. Also, really quick, guys, I told you guys thought I was lying. No, I meant what I said when I was going to plug Suplex and Microphones again. Definitely, guys, for all you out there who are wrestling fans, especially if you like the independent scene, definitely trust me. Check out Suplexes and Microphones. I know you can find it on YouTube right now. Is that where you guys are currently primarily at? Mm-hmm.
All the videos are on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Everything's at Suplexes Mics, MICS. So you can find everything through there. Nate also does our Twitter for us. I don't ever touch Twitter. So
Q has actually been great at that. He's our Twitter man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you again for that, by the way. Yeah.
Well,
just pure honesty.
Thank you, Joseph, for once again agreeing to be on, brother, and for giving us your insight on Secret Wars. So, it was once again so great to have somebody on who loves the source material this much, and who was also kind of there when the foundation was being laid. So that was just really great to kind of get your input on this.
That's another "you're old" comment. You don't need to be Batman to figure this stuff out.
I mean, like if.
Damn it, Q, that's fucked up.
If you want to interpret it that way. Look at this way. Years from now, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, so you were there when Civil War came out?" So,
gosh,
how was that? House of M? Whoa.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, homies, if you guys have any other kind of questions, comments, gifts, threats, food supplies, or reading suggestions, hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or any of our social media outlets. We are always active and live.
Hell yeah. And homies, you already know what I'm about to say. Feel free to also visit our Patreon page, superherohomies.patreon.com. Probably reverse that, actually. Patreon.com/superherohomies. Wow, I got it backwards. But what's not backwards is $1 gets you most things, $3 gets you everything. And keep an ear out because we're going to have some Star Wars cool-ass new release coming on soon. You might have heard about it. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
We'll be covering Rise of the Skywalker, like Kevin said, and that'll just be $1 Patreon, guys. So sign up for $1, you get all of our free movie reviews. $3 gets you every goddamn thing we got. Everything we got.
Ooh. Less than a Starbucks.
Absolutely.
Yep, there you go.
And better for you.
Better for you. I want to request officially, y'all need to, after Mandalorian Season 1 finishes up,
Okay.
complete review of the whole season.
We've been talking about that, actually.
Yep, it's actually been in the works. So now we have an official request. So
And I'm a patron. I'm paying for this.
Yeah, we got to make it happen.
Exactly.
Supply and demand.
Before you leave, you'll see it come up on the big board here.
The board, I like it.
Oh yeah.
By the time you make it to your car, Joseph, we'll have 3 episodes up before you're ready to go.
Oh fuck. Ooh. Luckily, they're half-hour piece. So let's go.
But thank you guys again for listening in. Joseph, since you've been such an awesome homie tonight, how about you being an honorary superhero homie for the next 45 seconds? So again, thank you all for listening in. And until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
As always, I am Superhero Homie Kevin.
I guess that makes me Superhero Homie Joe.
Till next time.